Hey everyone, Luke here, and after the introduction chapter to the new series that I'm reading and reviewing on a weekly basis, Mission Yozakura Family, I really enjoyed it. So I figured, you know what? Yeah, let's keep this train rolling for as long as possible. So let's just, without further ado, dive into the chapter because I've got theories about this week's chapter. Alright, so this will be chapter 123, titled Spy Association President Kai Isumu. So basically, getting a full introduction to Kai and what his relationship to Kyorichio is. So the chapter starts off with him giving his introduction to Tayo and saying, "Oh, it's a pleasure, it's very nice to meet you," as they seem to be in a futon, having the snack cakes that Tayo bought on behalf of Creature and some tea or hot cocoa or whatever it is that they're drinking before Kai gets up and close and personal with Tayo, and it seems that Tayo's being swallowed by his gaze, but no, there is something going on with these two. Like, there is legitimately something going on with these two, and I had the theory, which I'm going to get into when we get into more about what Kai's relation to Kyorichio is, but the fact that they both have a scar on their eyes, it's like Tayo has it on his right eye and Kai has it on his left eye. So the fact that those two have scars, but also that Kai's pupil has like an extra circle around it. I don't know if you noticed, but if you notice, like the extra circle around his pupil, which you can see in comparison to Tayo's, yeah, there is something going on with not just Kai, but his relation, but what seems to be a connection flowing with Tayo here. And like I said, we'll get into it more when we get into the meat of the chapter. But yeah. He says, "Oh, Creature attacked his own brother. Oh, that is just awful. He used to he used his threads to threaten you, but didn't intend to harm you. He was slightly off, and they reached your skin. It's rare for him to make such a mistake." So the fact that Kai is bringing up, like, yeah, this is a mistake on Creature's part. So the fact that, yeah, Creature made this as like an intention of like, oh, to make it more of a warning to Tayo without actually threatening him. I think this is referring to the last chapter, although it could be referring to all the times that Creature has used his threads on Tayo, in that it's been a warning to him but not necessarily harming him. So yeah, that kind of like raises a few red flags there as well. But he goes on to say, in the midst of chaos, he made the split-second decision, but his threads betrayed his distress. So Kai's saying here, like, yeah, Kyorichio was in distress about doing this, so is he under mind control, Kyorichio, from Sabumi? Yeah, we don't know. I mean, me and Pyjans were discussing this, like, he could potentially be under mind control, given what we get at the end of the chapter, so we're just gonna have to wait and see. Kai continues and says that, oh, Kyorichio was pushing himself too hard to keep you from noticing the truth, Tayo, for the sake of his own family, and this is when Tayo, like, gets like, yeah, how do you know all this about Kyorichio? Like, just who are you, man? And Kai is like, oh, I have a knack for this sort of thing. But no, Kai, you know more than you're letting on. You're letting on here. But before we can get to that, he says Kyorichio saw my potential and wrote me into this business, but he never imagined he would wind up as the president. So the big reveal of this chapter, aside from the ending, which we'll get into, is the fact that Kyorichio went up to Kai and was like, "Yeah, Kai, I really don't want to be the president of the Spy Association. So yeah, you take the reins." Which one does? Pyjams did actually bring this up, like, does Kyorichio just have the power to just be like, yeah, I can assign this guy to be the president if I don't want it to be, or I can get rid of it. Now, I had a theory that, because the whole theory of last week was that this was probably going to be Tayo's introduction into the gold ranking, which, thankfully, that does not happen. I'm glad that did not happen because I feel like it's way too early. And we've just had Tayo get his silver spy ranking. So yeah, I feel like give it another 50 chapters before we start talking about the gold ranking for Tayo. Like, we know he's probably going to get gold ranking, but in terms of Kyorichio, I had a theory of that his ranking is actually a false ranking to kind of keep him from being too overpowered, and he might actually have a platinum ranking. Like it might go bronze, silver, gold, and then platinum, and like only like I'd say about five spies can actually attain that rank. So whether or not that's going to be something that's going to be brought up in the future, that remains to be seen. But yeah, so Kyorichio was like, "Yeah, Kai, you just go and be this," because as Kai puts it, I told him, Kai told him like, "Oh, I don't like the idea of this stuffy room and fancy titles," but Kyorichio didn't want those things for himself, so he kind of forced him upon him. And it's like it was like, and Kai was like, "I really don't want this," and Kyorichio was like, "No, you're gonna have it," and he's like, "Fine, whatever." And Tayo brings up what Wolf. Yeah, that was pretty selfish on you, Kyorichio. You had the potential to become the president of the Spy Association. You're like, "No, I'm not going to do it," but it was probably more to do with the fact that Kyorichio cared more about his family than like any fancy title, anything like that, and he really wanted to be more with his family rather than being the head of the Spy Association. Because I feel like the president of the Spy Association has to spend a lot of time in office away from their loved ones, and Kyorichio, despite the fact he'll never want to admit it, he loves Tayo and loves the Yozakura family. So he was probably like, "Yeah, I'm not going to do it," partially because I really don't want it, but also I want to spend more time with my family. So that's kind of his reasoning for it, even though it is a pretty big selfish thing. But continuing on, Kai mentions that, "Oh, he also came to me before leaving to confront the previous heads, and he brought Sabana rice crackers with him like he always does." So this is like right before the whole confrontation with his father. So he probably left the note for everyone to say like, "Yeah, I'm going away somewhere." Then went to see Kai, and then went to confront Momo and everyone. But Kai mentions, "Oh, this time he's got you bringing them in instead," and if as if to say he wants me to give you guidance. So basically saying like, "Oh, he wants me to like give you some pointers, Tayo." And Kai mentions like, "Oh, he'll be back for sure. I know that because we've known each other for a long time." And this is kind of surprising. Like Tayo actually brings up this fact in his thoughts. Like, wait, so Kyorichio had a good friend like this all along? Like, yeah, Kyorichio of all people actually had a friend that wasn't creeped out by him. So, round of applause for Kyorichio. I guess there's always someone for someone. But no, the fact that, yeah, a good friend, yeah, there's kind of a bit of like stuff going on with these 2, as we'll soon see in the chapter. But yeah, Tayo asks Kai like, "Hey, so what's your relationship with Kyorichio like? What makes you so trustworthy of it?" It's like, "Oh, I think of us as good friends, more or less." But he doesn't quite know what goes on in the depths of Kyorichio's mind. But at the very least, they've been hanging around since middle school, so they've known each other for. How old is Kyorichio? Wait, no, I looked before. He's 21, so they've known each other for probably about 6 years, at least, at the very least. No, yeah, 6 years. So I'd say at least 6 years they've known each other. So pretty long time for Kyorichio to actually have a friend. But with everyone, Kyorichio is not the kind of guy to wear his emotions on his shoulder. He keeps it. Probably like his whole mask of just being like the cool big brother is more of like, yeah, it's a mask to hide what his true emotions actually are. And we get to go into a flashback to find out more about the relationship between Kai and Kyorichio, which we'll get into as we have Kyorichio saying like, "Oh, I want to thank you, Kai," and he's like, and Kai's like, "Oh, what's wrong, Kyorichio?" And he's saying like, "Oh, if you don't change quickly, you're gonna miss gym." And Kyorichio mentions like, "You knew about my hand, didn't you? I wear fake skin over it to hide my scars." So whether this is scars from battles that he's had in the past or scars from just using his thread, that remains to be a mystery. And he mentions that, oh, it was starting to come loose, and he noticed it when it was changing, and he tried to cover it up quickly without drawing everyone's attention, because if somebody had actually seen that, there would be a lot of questions coming out, like, Kyorichio, where did you get those scars? What's been going on? What have you been doing? Like, there would have been a lot of questions coming out, and Kai immediately picked up on this, and even though they weren't sitting anywhere near each other, he stood up and stood in front of them, and in just the right spot so that no one could see them. So yeah, that's probably the idea of like what Kyorichio got from Kai. It's like, okay, this is a guy that I can trust. He's not gonna pester me over that. He's just gonna be like, oh, this guy needs help. It's obvious that he doesn't want people to see this, so I'm gonna protect him. And Kyorichio, it says in the flashback, I sense that you've been looking at me in an odd way for a while, but you were concerned about me and just didn't say anything right. Yeah, in an odd way, Kyorichio, based on a panel that's going to be coming up. And Kai is like, oh, what are you talking about? As we get actually Kai's backstory, like what actually happened to him. And it's very similar to what happened with Tayo in his past, because Kai lost his family in basically a car accident in the same vein. And he survived, but he suffered through a traumatic brain tumour, and the damage caused to his brain sensories began to develop exponentially, and his awareness was simulated with a chaotic surge of information. He constantly used anesthetics and stabilizers, as well as earplugs and contacts to dull his vision, all to protect himself from excessive information. So, okay, this might explain why Kai has his extra pupils, or like his brain cells expedited essentially, which might lead into another power system that might be coming in. Like, I suggested that in the review that Kai may have achieved the blooming from somewhere somehow, but it might be an extra power that's coming in, because we only have the blooming power and the artificial blooming from Tsubumi that has been manufactured for the Tampopo people. So yeah, there might be another power system coming in. We just don't know. But my idea of like why Kai would have the blooming is gonna come up as we see Kyorichio saying, "I'm sorry for looking into you without asking. I didn't mean to be rude, but think of this. This is thanks and an invitation. I want to know how to suppress your condition and how to make the most of it. Come with me, and you can have it all. Why don't you come over to my world?" So basically, Kyorichio's like, I see the potential in you. I understand that you've got this ability, but it has to be contained, and I think I'm the one that can help you with that by becoming a spy in my world and sorting that out. And Kai was like confused by this, like Tayo was at the beginning of the series, like just confused about everything that was moving so fast, which is probably why Kyorichio first recruited Tayo, first allowed Tayo to be mostly in the family, even though he was a bit skeptical about Tayo at first for being a person with mutant speed, but it seemed like Kyorichio was never going to kill Tayo to begin with, mostly because it would have affected mutant speed, but I think he saw a lot of Kai in Tayo, and the fact that Kai and Tayo have a scar, have a similar backstory, and their faces are shaped completely the same. I'll get into a panel when we get into, makes me believe that Kai and Tayo might be related at some point. That's my big theory that I'm going off here from this chapter. But yeah, we see Kai and Kyorichio train together as we get them being a little bit too close for comfort here, and probably just brought up that this panel just brought out a lot of ships for Kyorichio and Kai, which made me believe that Kyorichio gave Kai the blooming through his blood, although Sky said, did bring up the fact in the one of the people who comments on our Mine and Party Jams live streams, and Party Jams brought this up, that that's not possible because of Mutsumi being the head of the family. So But then, I don't know. I still feel like Kai might have blooming, or it might just be another ability, like I'm saying. I don't know at this point what goes on in the mind of this author, but I'm loving it. I love Kai as a character so far. I've got an interesting backstory with Kyorichio. I'm finally got a chance for Kyorichio to have a friend, as we have them going on by saying, even if I did have an apt for it, there was no beneficial at all to Kyorichio to introduce a ordinary person like me into this world and expose his family secrets. So yeah, the fact that Kyorichio saw something in Kai means that, yeah, Kai is a special case, and yeah, and the fact that it's so similar to Tayo's meant to believe. Like, yeah, there is something going on between these people. Like, it's not just a coincidence that he brought Tayo and Kai together. Partially because they have such a similar backstory, but also he says if I had asked him about it, he'd probably dodge the question out of thinking about it. Kyorichio was happy that I found someone who was on his side. So basically, Kai was someone who wasn't creeped out by Kyorichio, and that was enough probably for him to be like, yeah, I can trust this guy 100%. And Kai goes on to say, so that being the case, I still don't know how he truly feels about me, but there is one thing I am certain of, that Tayo is the only one that can save Kyorichio. So this is where we get like the reveal of like why Tayo is the only one who can save him, and it's probably gonna involve some talk no jutsu. Kai goes on and says that because he watched Tayo's spy exam when he was getting his silver ranking, and his profuse blooming of 1,000 flowers was very powerful, beautiful, and it was such a lovely gift, that this power will save Kyorichio. Take that profuse blooming with you and face off against him. So yeah, we're probably going to get like the fight that really had to happen at some point. Tayo versus Kyorichio, proper balls out fight, not the one like they had in the Spice. And this is probably going to be balls out to try and save Kyorichio, whatever is going on with him. And maybe, just maybe after that point, Kyorichio will be like, even though I hate to admit this, Tayo, you did well. And he probably will finally give his blessing to Tayo. He probably will be like, whatever you do with Mutsumi now, I'm thankful that you're husband, Tayo, and I will not do anything to disturb your relationship anymore. Hopefully we will get that and maybe see more of him start to become more of like a protective brother to Tayo. I mean, he has been in the past, but I feel like he really needs to be like saying that point of like, yeah, I'm not going to do anything to you, Tayo. Like, I'm not going to use my bindings on you anymore. I'm gonna help you as best I can to become the best spy ever, and hopefully that will start to redeem his character more in the eyes of people from where he was now, because at the beginning of the series he was a smug bastard. He was a smug bastard, like probably the least likable person in the series, but now people are starting to see more of him, more of different sides of him. So yeah, this might be like the ultimate apex of Kyorichio's character development, the fact that he now accepts Tayo properly and is not going to try and kill him. But but this, like I said, probably won't happen until they have the big fight that, like I said, has probably been something that has been the authors wanting to be doing at some point. And Kai even iterates that if you do that, the path will open. So I feel like Kai's saying like, yeah, the path will open and you will be able to understand Kyorichio more and be able to be on an equal footing to him, both as a spy and a brother who could protect Mutsumi. But also, Kai says something here that just made me think like, yeah, these two are related, and he says, I felt like I've known you for such a long time. I'm glad I got to meet you today. And yeah, you see just how similar their faces are, from their eyes to from their eyes to their mouth to their nose. Like, come on, party jumps. Look at Kai's nose there, and look at Tayo's nose there. Yeah, same nose, same facial, same faces, and same facial structure. Yeah, there is no doubt in my mind. Kai and Tayo are related, and Kyorichio wanted them to come together to kind of learn from each other. Maybe Kai is a cousin of Tayo, or maybe he's the one who is like a member of Tayo's old family who was responsible for what happened, or something like that. I don't know. I'm just throwing out things at the wall, but I am 100% guaranteed that these two are related. Like, like, I'm not going to let that go. Like, these two are related, because as well, if you look back, everyone, at the smile that Kai had in the flashback, yeah, that is definitely a Tayo smile. That is definitely a smile Tayo does. So yeah, moving on to the climax of the chapter, we have Tayo's phone ringing, and it turns out it's Futaba, and he's like, "Oh, Futaba, what's going on?" And she's like, "Okay, Tayo, it's urgent. Stay calm and listen to me. You've got to hunt to these coordinates Shinzo is sent to you now because we've got Kyorichio surrounded." So yeah, well, they found Kyorichio, so I guess this arc is wrapping up, and we're moving into the battle with Kyorichio. So whether he's under mind control or not, that remains to be seen. So pretty decent chapter of Mr. Yozakura family. We got to learn what Kai is all about, his backstory of Kyorichio, and how he came to be in contact with Kyorichio and what Kyorichio saw in him. So yeah, very happy with this chapter, and can't wait to find out what happens next. So theories are that Tayo's going to fight Kyorichio. Like, Kyorichio's going to take on everyone here. He's going to take a lot of damage, and then Tayo's going to come in and finish the job and kind of figure out, like, what is going on with Kyorichio. Like, why did you go and face Momo, and why did you go and face the head of the Yozakuras, and what happened to you? Because you said we probably wouldn't see each other again, and now we're seeing each other again, so what the hell is going on, Kyorichio? So whether or not this is Kyorichio acting on his own will or not, that remains to be seen. So yeah, that's just something we're going to have to wait and see. But what did you guys think of this chapter? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And this will be Lasherluke signing off. Later, guys.